What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Charge the Line with your host, Roger Narvaez, and my good friend, Tony Perez. Today, before we get started, I wanted to give a little shout out to some really solid dudes. They picked up sponsorship for our program. As you can see, it's definitely requires some intricate setups here, and their funding has allowed us to really expand and get some cool lighting in here, add some things to the broadcast for you guys out there on YouTube. So shout out to Protect Seamless Gutters out here in Corpus Christi. If you're in the area and you need some gutters, I really recommend that you hit them up. My boy George and Billy, they're both firefighters with our city. They do a great job on and off duty, and they really have this thing down. They're smooth and efficient. Their team is very courteous, respectful. They'll come out, give you a free estimate, no charge at all. They'll explain the benefits. Me personally, I didn't really know like the benefits of having gutters, and then to find out that, you know, it really helps with the long-term, or I should say the longevity of your foundation. It helps with having to upkeep, less maintenance, and aesthetically speaking, I didn't expect for them to look as good as they do. I mean, honestly, T, what do you think? They look pretty sharp, right?
I think I told you too the first time I saw it. Like the colors match, so you can't even tell.
Yeah,
like, unless you take a really good look at it.
Yeah, and I've gone around. I've seen some other gutters that are around the neighborhood, and not to hate on anybody's work, but you know, some of them are real small. These are bulky, but they blend in really well. And so, you know, when that heavy downpour comes, which we're still waiting here down in South Texas, but when that comes, we'll be ready. So shout out to my boys at Protect Seamless Gutters. If you need to get a hold of them, you can look them up on Facebook, or you can give them a call at 361-533-3012. Just tell them the CTL podcast team sent you, and they'll get you all set up. With no further ado, guys, we want to jump right into it. Now, we're going to take a little different strategy here, right? Change it up, throw a little curveball. It's actually being thrown my way. Tony came in and wanted to kind of run it a little differently today. So we're going to let him have full reign and just kind of shoot from the hip today. So T, have a way, man. Go have at it.
All right, man. Thanks for letting me run this by you. And Roger has no clue like what I'm going to ask him or what we're doing. So the goal, excuse me, what I want to do, my goal of this short episode today is going to be to kind of get inside Roger's head and figure out what makes this guy tick. We talk a lot about motivation, being above like the minimum standard, being above mediocrity, and we've kind of talked about a bunch of episodes about that stuff. But now I want to get like more specific, like into like, you know, what makes you tick, what makes you think about these things, and how you got to where you're at today.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah. Let me start with a hypothetical though.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. This is just to get to know you better, right? You wake up tomorrow and you're the last person on this earth.
Oh, shit.
What's the first thing you do?
Oh, man. And that's one thing I can't credit my dad with. He left me with like no survival skills. So instantly, you know,
you're already thinking, what am I going to eat?
Honestly, that's what I was going to say. You got to fuel yourself. You wake up and there's nobody around. Although in that situation, I don't know if I'd be hungry. So honestly, I would probably go to my guns, get whatever ammo, weapons, lights that I could have, get it loaded up in the truck, and start searching, because I can't be the only one, right? There's got to be others out there. So that's what I would do, start hunting for the other
See who else is out there.
Yeah, the other survivors that haven't been killed by the apocalypse.
All right, man. All right, cool. Let's get into this. Okay, so we see what, you know, who you are today, what you've accomplished, a lot of the things. We don't have to get into all that. I'm sure some of it will come up. But, you know, you weren't born this way, obviously. This took 40 years to get to this.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, you might think that, you know, you in September 9th of 1980. 83
Yep,
that
83.
Roger came out of the womb, took one look at the OB doctor and said, "Do you even lift, bro?" That obviously didn't happen, right? He was little, he was weak, he was frail at one point, you know. And so we're trying
last long.
Okay. So that's what I'm trying to find out, is how you got to where you're at today. So my first question is, at what moment in your life, what age, I guess, did you start really looking inward and taking some stock and inventory as to who you wanted to be?
Man, that's a good question, because I think it happens, at least for me, it happened multiple times throughout my life. There were multiple periods in my life, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, and even until recently, that I have kind of reevaluated, self-assessed, and, looked myself in the mirror and really said, is this where you want to be? And if not, what do we need to do to get there? As a child, from the earliest of ages, I can remember just always striving to be the best. Like, I was the kid at recess that you didn't want to play with, because I would literally get pissed off if we lost.
You've always been competitive.
Always super competitive. I don't know what it was. Because my dad, he didn't play many sports. Like, he didn't play organized sports. He played street football and baseball, and he taught me everything I knew coming up. But, he didn't have that. At least it wasn't apparent to me that he had that killer drive. My mom, she wasn't an athlete. But they were all into sports. My family is very big. Both sides.
Like watching sports, like had a team that they followed.
Cowboys, the Astros. Like, we were always into sports coming up. And so from a very young age, now my parents did like martial arts. And I can remember from the earliest of ages watching Bruce Lee and the Jean-Claude Van Damme, the Steven Seagal, and
Bloodsport's classic.
Yep. And those are the type of movies that I was brought up on, right?
Yeah.
So I remember from a really early age just wanting to get involved in that kind of stuff. And when I did get involved, I wasn't content. And it's funny because not every kid is like this, and I see it within our gym. I wasn't content with just like going to the gym and having fun. It's like I wanted to learn the newest technique. I wanted to perfect that technique. I wanted to spar. I wanted to get good at sparring. And I don't know, for me, it was like there was just a inner drive to do that, right? But as I said, there's many times in your life where you have to reassess, and I was always a bigger kid. Now, when you're little, it's not like you're being big, you're big, right? Like it's not like I was a little thick, but I was always tall. I was always thick, than thicker than your average. And so for me, I was also athletic. So, naturally I was above average, right?
Everyone wanted to pick you on their team whenever y'all were like in the neighborhood or at school, like your first pick.
Yeah, unless it was because they just wanted to have fun. If they wanted to win, they picked me because I wasn't the kid to have fun with. Like I was a kid at recess that literally would get so angry if we were losing and yelling at people to cover this person, cover that person. Like, I would have a headache after recess. And I remember that to this day, And so, I hated losing, even if it was in something as simple as a friendly game. And that's something that I've had to learn through the years to adjust to. But, I do remember in Little League football was the first time that I ever really faced a opposition that scared me. Because I was always the bigger kid. I was always the big guy. But it's not until that bully, right? And I even call myself a bully at some point.
Yeah.
But it's not until that bully gets punched in the fucking mouth that he
reevaluates.
So I remember I was in third grade and we were playing junior varsity football, and there was another team, and the kid was just it was actually Stephen Fillmore, and the Fillmore brothers actually played at West Oso later on in high school. But it's funny because I was scared of that kid. Like, he hit me one time.
Remember his name, first and last name?
Oh man, he hit me one time so hard. I like started crying, and the scrimmage ended because he like cracked me. I tackled him. Like, it was a reverse, and I was going to catch him, and I put my helmet in a bad spot, and his helmet went right into my temple and fucking clocked me. And after getting dazed and just crying, like, they said, "Oh, we can't do this anymore. We're gonna get somebody killed." So, but it's funny because the very next year, that's when I played for the Longhorns, and we've talked about this, and we talked about Coach Freddie and the mentality that he has had, and the mindset of just kill. Old retired Marine, and I love Coach Freddie, but
some of the stuff, if he said it today,
it was like borderline child abuse.
Yeah.
This man was so dedicated to Little League football and hated his ex-wife so much that he literally quit working so that he didn't have to pay child support. And all he did was do Little League football. So that was literally his life. We were in Little League, and he was calling plays from the sidelines with hand signals in Little League. Like, fuck sending somebody in and whispering in their ear. No, he was like calling plays, and people were just looking at us like, what the fuck's going on, you know?
Y'all dominated, obviously.
We dominated. But the thing that did for me is it really did teach me how to overcome that fear, right? And how to push yourself beyond your body's limits. I tell people all the time, my first time cutting weight was not fighting for a fight. No. It was to make the limit for CCYFL back in the day. I was in 6th grade, and you couldn't weigh more than 120 pounds. And I woke up that morning of weigh-ins at 128 pounds. And I actually started cutting the night before a little bit. Didn't have any water, nothing. My mom knew nothing about cutting weight, right? It was 100 degrees outside. She put a trash bag on me, on my legs and my upper body, threw me in the shower with the water going over my head and steaming me basically for about 20 minutes. Rode to the place where we did weigh-ins at with the AC windows up and the heater full on, and then had me run around backstops until I lost the weight. Yeah. And I did. And I'll never forget my meal after that was a double meat, double cheese, large fries. This is at 12 years old. Yeah. Large order, water-sized order of fries with a water-sized milkshake and a large order of onion rings on the side. And it was funny because they wanted us to play on the same team. So my brother actually, he was smaller, which you would never think, right? But he was 9 playing with 11 and 12-year-olds. That's a huge difference. Oh, yeah. But we had to strap weights on him, on his feet, so that he could make the limit. Yeah. And
you're trying to cut, he's
trying to make. But my parents wanted us on the same team. Yeah. And I'm so glad that happened because, man, it was such a fun experience. That was the best years. Besides high school football, those were the best years of my life. And so, you know, what I was getting at with that whole thing is just the drive and the determination to be better and to really push the envelope. I think was forged at an early age by some really great people, and by my parents allowing those people to step in and push my boundaries. You know, my parents loved me and they were always on top of everything, but they would let coaches do what coaches needed to do. You know, much later on, things changed, and there were a couple other times where I had to reevaluate things. But, you know, you were exactly right. People look at the situation I'm in now and the physique and the work ethic, and they act like that, you know, was just like I was born like that way.
So you said something. So you've said it multiple times. You said reevaluate, right? You use that. And so it seems like to me that a big chunk of your story is basically a series of reinventing yourself.
Absolutely.
So you know, how does that happen? I mean,
man, I think it happens for a lot of reasons. Ultimately, life hits you unexpectedly in certain areas, and you have to reinvent yourself. You don't have to. You can quit. You can crumble under the predicament or the hardship that you're facing at the time. But in reality, it was, you know, there were a couple times where I had to reinvent myself. You know, one of them was like we've talked about before, my mom's passing. Totally hit me by surprise. And, you know, every time you reinvent yourself, it's not always in a positive light. And for a lot of time, I reinvented myself in the wrong way. You know, I got into some things I shouldn't get into. I did some things I shouldn't do with people I shouldn't have done it with. And I was just on a downward spiral. But it was deceiving because it didn't look like it.
Made you feel better at the time?
Well, no, it didn't. I thought it did, but it didn't. But, you know, everything looked kosher. Everything looked like it was good to go, you know. Sorry, guys, I got to turn this off. You know, what I meant by that was the fact that inside and all around me, I'm just spiraling. But I'm still captain of the football team. I'm getting offers from college.
Oh, during that time.
I'm fucking pancaking people on the football field, getting all kinds of recognition. My first year starting, I beat out a senior to start. Going into the next year, like I said, I made captain of the football team. Team's doing well, and it was really at that point that I started to spiral. Getting drunk, partying, and then going to summer workouts when that wasn't what I should have been doing. Not listening to my coaches. I was lost. I didn't have guidance. I love my dad, but he was preoccupied at that time, and
dealing with his own grief.
Yeah,
probably.
Definitely trying to find a way out. And I feel bad looking back. My brother, suffered. Our relationship since then has somewhat been mended, but it's definitely suffered because of how I was and not acknowledging how I was. I say jiu-jitsu saved my life, but in reality, the fire department saved my life. Because to be quite frank, I was doing shit all the way up until I got hired that I shouldn't be doing. And when I got hired, I was forced into abiding by the rules, or else. The consequences of losing a good job.
Yeah,
and I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't like addicted to drugs or alcoholic or like gambling debt.
But there's a lot of things that consequences could affect you, in your professional life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, partying when I shouldn't have been partying and hanging with people and being places. And, I won't get all into it because I don't know what the statute of limitations is.
I think we're past it.
But, I did a lot of dirt
yeah.
Coming up. And it was then that in the fire department, I also realized what it meant. I realized what it meant to wear that uniform. It made me proud. For the first time since making it as a captain of the football team, I had a badge of honor that I could wear and wear proudly. And I was fortunate to get with a group of guys like you guys at Station 10 that were so put together and so dedicated. And I saw the opportunity that I had to really help people. And that really molded and changed my mindset as far as getting my shit together. So, the jiu-jitsu was great. And it's crazy because it all kind of happened at the same time. But the fire department, number one, forced me to quit my shit and get my stuff together and really focus on being productive. I guess that would be a turning point. And then, of course, there was being in the fire department, having that obligation and that duty and knowing, because I took the oath seriously. But I had to reevaluate. I had to look at myself and say, am I doing all that I can do? Now, this happened multiple times throughout my career. In fact, it just happened 4 years ago. It's the reason why I promoted.
Yeah.
But
that was going to be one of the examples that I said, like, even in the department, like, you've reinvented your role and like what you play at the station and and what you contribute,
Yeah.
So.
And it all started with me looking at myself in the mirror and saying that, I'd always, Big Raj, that was always my nickname. To this day, it still is, right?
But I think I told this story before. I was the one, and I'm going to knock on, hopefully the one and only time that I was on light duty for the fire department. I was helping out with interviews, and I got your packet, and I'm going through. Then I called like family members, and the one thing that everyone would always say is, I told you this before. I said, like, hey, I'm with the fire department. I have a series of questions to ask you about Rogelio. He's applying for the fire department, and everybody, uncles and dad and everybody. Well, he's big. Like, he's smart. He's gonna be a good asset. Hey, he's big. I was like, all right, he's got that going for him.
Puro gente right there,
he's
right?
Big, he's big. He'd be a good fireman.
He's
big.
Yeah. He kicked down some doors. That's what you guys do, right?
It's like, there's this medical part, man. It takes a lot of schooling. I don't know.
But yeah, man, that was my family. They always supported me.
No, everybody was. I think it was. you could tell a lot of times too. I've participated otherwise. I always ask people too. I do interviews now and ask, what do your parents think? Young people, or early, young person that's just recently married. What does your spouse think about you becoming a firefighter? What do your parents think about you? And I always like to hear, what they're always very supportive, and
Yeah, who wouldn't want their family? That was the other thing.
well, sometimes it's like, man, it's a dangerous job. It's shift work. There's a lot of other
my
things.
My family don't think like that. They're fucking. They like my grandpa, man. Hey, that's my grandson. That's my they're proud. My dad, they were super proud, and that was why when I donned that uniform,
you had to be. They were going to be proud of you, and you wanted.
My dad actually
live up to
applied
that.
for the fire department when he was younger.
Uh-huh.
He only applied once. He didn't get in, and when I got in, I became the first, not advice to, as far as out of my family, to be in the fire department. I took that seriously, man. Yeah. I took that seriously, and it felt good to know that my mom and my dad and everybody could say like, yeah, that's my grandson. Yep. Like, that's my son. That's, I knew I was doing something worthy, and that takes me to reinventing myself physically, where I had to just reevaluate, look at myself and say, you're not doing enough. It's not enough to be big. It's not enough to be able to bench press 300 pounds one time. You need to be able to fucking work. There's no sense in being big if a guy that's 150 pounds can last through multiple bottles and you're spent after one, which was what was happening. Yeah. And it was humbling, but if I hadn't assessed myself and been honest and truthful with myself, shit, I would have never been. I wouldn't be where I am right now.
You kept lying to yourself that I'm big and that's all. That's all I need.
And that's all I need, which is what a lot of people do.
So that's my next question. What do people get wrong when it comes to reinventing themselves? What do they get wrong?
I think they do it for the wrong reasons. I think when people try to reinvent themselves,
like January 1 is a reinvention for.
Oh, well, that is just, and like I said, the wrong reasons, right? Okay. Why? Oh, because that's when everybody else is gonna do it. Why the fuck you gotta wait till January 1st? Like, why wait till then? If you want to do something, then you do it. Whether it's because you want to do something because somebody else wants you to do it, or because it's the popular thing to do. I always like to come up with these little sayings, and the other day it just came to me, right? Like an epiphany, boom, light bulb. And it was like, I'd rather stand alone than fall in line. And that means so much because there's so many people that would do the opposite. And when you talk about being a Christian, when you talk about people that don't want to go out no more, when you talk about being in a relationship, when you talk about people that are successful, dedicating their entire being to a goal and sacrificing everything else that everybody else thinks is important so that they can accomplish that goal because they have a desire and a passion within to do so, they're always going to be the outcast. They're always going to be the outliers. And so I think a lot of people have to find their why. A lot of times we talk about it. It's like women break up with this dude and then they go and lose all this weight. Or this guy's all fat and his wife leaves him, cheats on him with his bodybuilder, and then he decides to lose all this weight. And it's like, it's not that you can't do it. It's just that you haven't found a reason.
You could have done it without that happening.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And so when it comes to people reinventing themselves, they truly have to sit down and be willing and ready to accept the truth, whether it's from somebody else or whether it's from themselves. They cannot go on ignoring it. They can't fake it. They have to be willing to say, okay, this is where I'm at now. It's not where I want to be, but it's where I'm at. This is where I want to be, and this is what I'm going to have to do.
And to get to where you want to be never happens fast.
Oh, hell no.
And I was wondering if that, like some of it, like you watch a Rocky movie and, movies from our childhood. And the Eye of the Tiger song's like 2 minutes, right? And in 2 minutes, Rocky Balboa can like be ready for a fight, right?
Yeah.
But how long does a
exactly.
fight camp? It's not 2 minutes.
No,
I mean,
hell no.
so it doesn't happen right away. It's not gonna, and even during that reinvention, like you're gonna be stumbling, and you're gonna
Absolutely.
have falls, and you're gonna have setbacks. Most recently, like getting into jiu-jitsu, like there's a lot of setbacks.
Oh,
It's like
man.
there's days where it's like, man, I can't get anything right,
No.
and it's
no.
like, but you just like be consistent.
And that doesn't go away.
Yeah,
That's the beauty of jiu-jitsu is you have to humble yourself. It never goes away. You always have to be willing to, if you want to be good at least.
Yeah.
You always have to be willing to be corrected and learn, and that's why I think jiu-jitsu has helped me in a lot of other aspects of my life. And I'm still not where I want to be. I'm far from it. I've got goals and aspirations that I haven't told anybody other than Ashley. And I've got demons that I fight. I've got, a lot of people don't know, but like during her pregnancy, I was drinking a lot. Now, not like getting drunk every night, but drinking more than I knew I should be drinking. And I mean by like having two
Why?
or three beers. It was the baby's fault.
Well, like,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
blame
you
her.
were nervous about something going wrong, like, or,
I just had these cravings. It was weird. I never craved beer.
like
I
she
always
couldn't
think of
drink,
her
and you're,
shit.
yeah,
And then I'm doing it, and to the point where, it's almost scary. But I would like go to get Cynthia, and it would be after practice, long fucking hard day of training, and I would grab a 24 of an IPA and just slam it in the parking lot. Like, what the fuck? Just so that she couldn't come.
Yeah.
When I came home, she wasn't mad. And then of course she's like, I can smell it on your breath, because I had told her, oh babe, I'm not gonna
especially
drink.
the IPAs.
I said,
like,
that's easy.
they're strong.
You can't drink, baby. I love you. I'm not, because it was stressful for her. We went from drinking and socially drinking like all the time to where now she can't have that glass of wine to relax at night. And so, I was thrust into that, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm fine. I don't need to drink, because before I didn't need to. And then whatever it was about the situation of the baby, I don't know, but it was like I was finding myself like drinking. And she told me, she's like, you always used to get on me, and you're drinking like every day you're off. And I never used to do that. I used to drink like once a week, and then maybe have a drink during the week, but like maybe like a glass of wine or something.
Yeah.
Dude, I was fucking drinking a lot. More than what I was, and so
it wasn't affecting the workouts or anything.
No, but that's the fucked up thing, right? Is that's what we do to ourselves. We notice our behavior deviating, and then instead of correcting it, we don't. Why? Because we're not suffering. We haven't.
It wasn't affecting anything.
We're not
yet. I mean,
yeah. I was still kicking everybody's ass everywhere I went. I was still fucking smashing our workouts. You worked out with me. Could you tell how many times? And I'll ask you, because you say you didn't know, but how many times did I tell you, fuck, man, I shouldn't have drank yesterday?
No, I know you're drinking more than.
No, but I mean, I'd be like, fuck, I shouldn't have drank before. Last night I had like 3 IPAs or whatever. It would be because I could feel it. I couldn't sleep at night.
So it does affect you.
It was affecting me, but it wasn't affecting my performance.
Right.
It wasn't affecting me in the sense of like I could still fucking lift the same amount of weight. I could still kill the cardio, kill the rounds of jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But what is it? The problem is when you're in good shape, your body is amazing. It adapts. So I bust my ass to be in the type of shape I'm in. And all that was happening was my body was now adapting to be in that type of shape, but partaking in all this extra bullshit.
Yeah.
And so.
But I look at that and I say, well, how much further, or how much better could it be?
Absolutely.
If you didn't partake in the bullshit?
Right. And those are the demons I talk about that we all have to face when we're reevaluating ourselves is we really have to ask ourselves, how bad do we want something? And I told Ashley last night, I was like, man, I haven't been drinking as much at all. Like, I have all this whiskey now, and it's funny because it's like, it sits here. Like, yeah. We got it for the podcast, but we're so damn busy. And then you want to be home with your wife at night. I want to be home with mine.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the day right now.
Yeah,
but if it was the evening, we probably may have a drink.
But we've done that, like 3 times,
rare.
So, it's just one of those things where your priorities really take precedent. And, you have to acknowledge, where you need to change and be willing to do that, and do it for the right reasons. Going back to why people get it wrong, it's because they don't do it for the right reasons. You got to do it for yourself. You got to do it because you want to be better, and everything else will fall into line.
Now, what about like anything, to the extreme, can become a problem. So like, what about a person that like, you're going to change your diet, whatever it is, you want to lose weight to where, or maybe not diet, but losing yourself in what you're trying to become.
Yeah.
Like the example that I come up with is like bodybuilding, because it's just so involved in your life, right? It's everything. Yeah. It's like becomes your sleep, your food, your workouts, everything. Like, how do you not lose yourself in like what you're trying to become?
It's hard.
Because you almost have to be a little extreme
you do.
I've
lost myself before, and I'm at a point in my life where I realize that I can't do that anymore, because it costs. It costs relationships. It costs, and I don't just mean with the significant other. I mean with your kids. Even now with the gym, it's so hard because I have class from 5:30 to 8:30, and my daughter's practices are at that time. And I try to explain to her, baby, it's a job. Like, I have to be there.
And because the days you're not at class, you're at the fire department. So
the fire department
or the class.
And what I realized, because the other day we had she had a practice on a Sunday, and we went to go watch her for cheer. And it broke my heart, man, because it was like one of those things where you see it, and you see the TikToks, and the kids are on stage and the parents aren't there, and then they show up and they're just like all excited
to see you. Yeah.
And so that's how it was, and I almost didn't go because I was tired. I was exhausted. And I said, you know what, I'm off. Yeah. Like so it's easy to lose yourself, but I think I've gotten to a point now where I realize what I'm willing to sacrifice and what I'm not. And before, to be in the UFC, I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed a lot, and I give it to, my daughter and at the time my ex, because, they did deal with a lot. But in the end, that wasn't why everything kind of dissolved. But looking back and how I used to be, and looking at how I want things now, I can't afford to be like that. I have a wife that wants me home, that wants me to be here, that supports me full-heartedly, but values our time together. I have a daughter that I only see half the time, and I have another one that I have an opportunity to make things right. Me and Ashley always joke about it because, Ellie's going to get our best.
The best. Yeah.
And then I have Kaylin, she's at college, but I still want to make time when she's here to be with the family. So, when it comes down to it, it's okay to get lost. And that's why I tell everybody that's young and single, focus on your goals. Don't let anybody or anything get in the fucking way, because it's so much harder when you have a family. Not that it can't be done.
No, yeah.
Because I'm super fortunate and thankful that I have a wife that supports me 110% and allows, when I need to do a podcast at 9:00 at night and she hasn't seen me all day, she doesn't give me shit for it. She lets it happen. And she's there to run around and take care of my daughter, our daughter. When I have other obligations to the gym, and I wouldn't be able to do it without her. But you have to get lost. Take, for instance, this captain's test. I'm every day. I don't give a fuck. Like, you ask anybody at the station, I feel bad because I haven't been training as much as I usually do. I'm huge on training, but for these last several months and up until this test is over, I'm every ounce of my energy is going into this thing. I barely have time to do this.
Yeah.
I have to make a point of it. And, earlier I studied for 3 hours, and then I'm going to study for another hour today. And I'm going to sleep with my laptop on my lap, looking over shit. Like, I'm immersing myself in it. And it's funny because I told Ashley earlier, we were texting, and I said, I'm getting nervous. She's like, oh, you're doing it. I said, I know. I said, there's not one motherfucker that's out there. I guarantee it. I don't care what people say. They say they study 7-8 hours. Bullshit. That's not possible. Not possible, because I know, because I'm studying as much as I possibly can, and I'm doing it 6 days a week, 1 day off. That's it. And I said, so I know I should be confident going in, because I still got 3 months, 4 months in January, right? Gonna be around there sometime, most likely. So, but then I said, but I'm scared. I shouldn't say scared. I said I texted her because I'm nervous, because I've given something my all. I said life's not fair. I've given something my all before, and I've still failed. And what I think about is my last fight. I mean, I went into that thing in the best shape I've ever been in, working out harder than I've ever worked out. Now, I was probably doing some extracurriculars, now that I think about it, that I shouldn't have been doing. But either way, mindset wise, like, I gave everything. Picking my daughter up literally while she's asleep at 5 a.m. to make it to the gym, and working out for an hour, laying her down in the back office while she sleeps, and then picking her up afterwards and carrying her home. Like, I made those sacrifices, and I fucking got knocked out in 29 seconds. You know, everybody jokes about it and it's fun, you know, but the reality of it, that fucking hurt.
Oh,
Not being knocked out, I didn't feel
no.
that shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel that one bit. That was
it
probably
hurts putting yourself out there like that. And
It does.
Not
And not succeeding.
accomplishing.
I am
goal.
so scared that I've dedicated 2 years of my life. And I know we say, well, you didn't, it's not that you didn't grow from it, right? Like, but I'm so scared of dedicating 2 years of my life and not succeeding. I know I'll pass. I told her, I know I'm going to pass. It's not if I'm not going to pass. I said, but I need to score between a 90 and a 95, I think, to make. I said, if I score between an 85 and a 90, that's a maybe. And I don't want maybes. So, you know, looking at it from that aspect, it's very hard to score a 95 on a captain's test. And, you know, a few guys do it here and there. I'm going to have to be that guy. And there's not any reason I can't, but still that doubt is there. Yeah. And you know, it's scary at times.
So during these periods of reinvention, what happens oftentimes is self-doubt, fear, and even shame or judging, you know, from others. What advice do you give for that? The advice that you're having to tell yourself right now, I guess.
Man, even though I don't pray as much as I should, have faith. Have faith in God. I know that when I've been closest to him and I put everything in his hands, I haven't had one worry in the world. Financially, relationally, work-wise, everything has just been not easy, but there's no angst, there's no anxiety. So number one, do that. Number two, block out all the negative.
The distractions.
Anybody and everybody that isn't on your team, get them the fuck away. Because it's so easy for that little devil to go from a whisper to a roaring fucking voice in your head when you let the wrong people in. You know, I'm fortunate that I have a family and friends and teammates and students that have my back. But the one person that I confide in about everything is my wife. And without her, like, it's funny, right? Because we're the men and we're supposed to be tough and we're supposed to be strong and we're supposed to be the ones that carry the weight. But what happens when that weight gets too heavy to carry, right? You got to have somebody that's willing to help you carry it. Shit, you got to have somebody that's willing to carry it, even if they can only walk a fucking inch at a time, bearing it. And that's what she is for me. And so to anybody that is facing that predicament or those hardships during that reinvention period, you know, you have to find somebody to cling on to. because you will fall. And that's why I say God first, because if you're the only person, like we talked about, on this earth, he's still going to be there for you. No matter what you're going through, it's that footsteps in the sand. You're not alone. No matter if you think you are, he's still there. And the more faithful and the more you cling to him, he will sustain you. You may not thrive in those moments, but he will sustain you. He will give you what you need to continue on.
The right amount of what you need.
People think that when they pray, they're going to get this, sudden burst of energy, and that God's going to come down and just, implant this strength or this power in them to just go through any and everything, and that life's going to be easy. And it's like, no, it doesn't say that at all.
It's actually kind of the opposite, right? Like, you ask for wisdom, he's going to give you some problems to solve to make you smarter. You ask for strength.
I don't necessarily agree that he's going to, and I know what you're saying because I've heard that, right? I don't think that he gives you the problems. I think that he finds a way to use those problems to help you in those ways. I don't think God gives anybody cancer, but he teaches somebody or death, but he teaches somebody how to overcome, how to bear, how to deal with those situations in ways that if they hadn't gone through that, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't be able to stand on their own 2 feet. The weight would be too heavy. It would crush them. And so, in those moments, like you have to find somebody, and he should be the first person. But it's always good to have a support group of people. And that's one thing that we always preach in the brotherhood is, we all make ourselves available. We know people struggle. We know firefighter suicide is not something to scoff at. And it's something that has been on the rise for the last several years. But when you find those people that you can talk to, that you can confide in, that you can just cry to, it's gonna make everything just a little bit easier. Not easy, but easier. And that's why I'm thankful that I have that partner that I can come home to and I can bitch at, or I should say bitch about stuff at, cry to, text that I'm depressed, text that I'm pissed, text that I'm nervous, text that I love her. And, it's a relationship I've never experienced. And I'm truly thankful that at this point in my life, I've found it. And we've been talking about some projects and some things and some goals, I should say, that I have. And let's just say that after I fucking nail this captain's test, like we're blowing the fucking roof off, and we're gonna do some big shit with the gym, with our social media stuff. I've really got big goals, and she supports me 100% of the way, and that's super important.
Yeah, it's necessary. Talking about the team, you posted something yesterday on the CTL. What was it on
our socials, on Facebook and on Instagram?
So I'm just gonna repeat what it says. So you put a deal there, and it's a picture of someone carrying a casket, right? It says, "Stop wasting your time trying to impress people who wouldn't show up at your funeral tomorrow. Spend that energy on people who will be carrying your casket."
Yeah.
You're talking about that team. You're talking about, your inner circle.
Yeah, man.
Investing in them.
I think a lot of times, and it's sad, I look at social media and I look at society today, and we're so enamored by drama, and we're so focused on not sensation, not sense. I looked it up the other day and I was trying to fucking say it, but I can't even say it. But in all the all this shit that's out there. I mean, for God's sakes.
Sensationalizing.
Sensationalism.
Okay.
Sensationalism. Thank you. You saved it. You saved me there. You didn't make me look like a dumbass. That's why he's the co-host, folks. He's got my back. But it's just like everybody's talking about Taylor Swift, right? Like, oh, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Who gives a fuck? Like, seriously, they're gonna be gone next week. Like, why are we in so enamored by these people's lives? Why? Because we like sensationalism.
Right.
We love it, right? So we spend our time worrying about likes and Facebook posts to make ourselves appear a certain way, and we put energy into other people. Here's probably an example I might get in trouble for, but she don't listen to the podcast anyway. So, but it's like my daughter was dating this kid, and they had a relationship, and she went to college, and of course, what I said would happen, and they're not together anymore.
I didn't know this. I thought
no, they're not together anymore. Okay. But she had been with this kid for four months.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 4 months, right?
That's forever.
That's
in a college person,
right? And that's what Ashley said. She goes, "You remember when?" And I said, "Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like, she was putting all her time into him.
Sure.
All her time, all her money that she didn't have, right?
Well, and it was a crucial 4 months, right? Because right before she left, so
right?
That could have been.
But it's like, and I always say this, but I'm like, I never want my kids to buy me anything, right? I really don't. I don't care what they like dollar amount wise.
Yeah.
But this kid's getting on clouds and fucking Gymshark.
You're gonna buy that stuff.
I'm like, hey, can me and your mom get like a gift card to Starbucks? But it's just it's the mentality of putting your we're trying to impress people that in the big scheme of things aren't going to be there.
Right.
And oftentimes we neglect those people that are our ride or dies. We neglect those people that will be there. I've been there. I've had those friends that I've literally stopped hanging out with to hang out and fucking be a dumbass with this older group of kids, and I left them behind, and I feel so bad about it because I've ruined relationships because of it. I've been in situations where I didn't appreciate people, and I gave all these other people so much clout, and I was so focused on impressing them instead of putting my time and my effort into genuine people and genuine relationships, all for relationships with people that don't fucking matter.
Yeah. And
so yesterday when I was thinking about that, I don't know why God just like, he puts these things in my head when
it's like the
out of nowhere.
Epiphanies from earlier.
Yeah, like the fucking light bulb, boom. It's like Facebook post. And I was just driving yesterday, and I thought of that, and I had to write it down real quick at a stoplight.
Yeah.
And then I found the cast. I said that's a perfect fucking picture because it's just literally a hand on a casket, right? And I think about it, and I said, man, oftentimes like we put our time, our money, our backing into people that could care less if we even existed tomorrow. Whether it's your job, whether it's a new relationship, whatever it is, like we got to learn to reassess once again, right? Reassess ourselves and our situations and look at what's truly important. And that's why I think I'm at where I'm at right now in my life, because when it comes down to it, in the end, 30 years from now, I love all my students. I love all my friends. I've got relationships there that I'm sure will be there until the day I die.
A lifetime. Yeah.
But the one that's going to be in my room when I'm dying is going to be my wife. It's going to be my kids. It's going to be a select group of friends, right? Those are the people that I want to put into. Those are the people that, I think people, and that's where it's hard not to get enamored by success and not to get fixated on accomplishing a goal, because what good is a goal accomplished if there's nobody to share it with? what good is success if there's nobody and I don't mean the bandwagoners. I mean the people that were there before you even started. You know, the people who saw you at your lowest and who rode with you the entire time. Like, that's what it's about. And so for me, realizing that now, it's like, man, I could give a fuck about anybody else. You know, when it comes down to it, like my wife, my kids, number one, they're before anybody. I don't care if it's a family member. I don't care if it's a friend. You fuck one of them and it's over. And it's happened before. And I've cut people off, people that I love with all my heart. But there's nothing that is going to get in the way of our happiness as a unit. And then there comes my dogs, right? My people that are there through thick and thin, that I could call in the middle of the night, that if we went to war, they're coming with me because they're dying with me on that battlefield, or we're taking that motherfucker over. And that's just how I look at it, man. And that's why with the team and the way I teach and coach, it's with such a passion and drive that some people don't understand. But the ones that do, that truly get it, man, the army that we have is so fucking deep. It may not be the most technical or the most skilled, but we're those fucking dogs that aren't going to go down until everyone is done. And that's just the way I try to live my life, man. And that's the hard thing about the fire department. And I'll be honest, because it's hard to find those. And that's why me and you click, because I respect you, because you talk it and you do it. And really, you don't even talk it, you just do it. And, you know, we're in a time and age right now where people like you and me are getting less and less. It's getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah.
And that's why our circle is so small as far as like what we do and working out. And but even beyond that, it's like, I need to know that these motherfuckers are going to risk their lives for me.
And it's like you said, to compare the two, like the gym and the fire department. Like in the fire department, we don't necessarily get to pick who our coworkers are. We're assigned where we're assigned. You know,
Yeah.
so there is some people try to get to a certain place, and you look at somebody who's like, man, is he with me or not? You know.
Yeah, for sure.
And like at the gym, at your gym specifically, I've heard you say it before, like this gym's not for everybody. You know, it's not for everybody. We're going to push, no easy rolls. I mean, it's like intense a lot of times. And so the ones that are there, I mean, because if it's not for you, then they're just like, I'm not feeling it. I wouldn't be there.
And they're not all, they didn't walk in like that.
No.
I mean, I've smothered tapped and pressure tapped plenty of people without even trying to do it, right? But when you see those people turn into those dogs and they're just fighting and they're fucking clawing and scratching and biting and just fucking doing everything that they can, like the pride because I'm affecting people on another level than just technicalities, on another level than just skill. There's a mindset that has to change when you go from the prey to the predator. And I see that. I see that with guys that are rolling and that used to be defenseless. And now, even though they might be getting their ass whooped in the roll, they ain't stopping. They ain't quitting. They keep fighting. They get choked out and they get up and they say, give me more.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of people that I want. And, I guess I am fortunate to have the job with the fire department, because when it comes down to it, like, who knows if I'd be able to make a good living running a gym that way. But you know what? That's the way we run it. Yeah. So I love it.
Well, man, pretty much closing up. I think the last thing that I wanted to close with was talking about, like, you talked a lot about reinventing yourself and evaluating your life during certain times. And for so many people, it takes like this life-changing event. Like it takes like a loss of a family member, a bad medical diagnosis, like something like I'm not gonna
Big.
say that it's too late, but it's
Right.
like it's never too late. But
Until it is.
like what advice, like what do we say? Like you said it earlier, like why wait till January 1? Like if there's something in your life that you're not happy about, if there's something in your life that you want to change, like
Do it, man. Do it. You know, I love our members. And there was somebody that posted this. He's a newer member, but he posted, and I won't say his name, but he said, "I'm giving up drinking," and he goes, "I'm giving up drinking. Wish me luck." And it's funny because Ashley goes, "When are you giving up drinking?" I said, "I'm not giving up. What are you talking about?" She goes, "You posted it." I said, "I didn't post shit."
I never said
And
that.
so I looked and I was like, "Oh," I said, "No, it's a member that posted that." I said, "No, I ain't give it." She goes, "Wow." She goes, "I was gonna say, what are we gonna do with all your whiskey bottles?" So, but then below that, somebody posted and they said, "Luck has nothing to do with it. If you want it, you'll do it. It's that simple. Let's fucking go." And I love that.
Was that another
shit.
member? That was
That was another member. Yeah, that was another member that said it. And my buddy James Anderson. And we call him Big Country, big old white boy, fucking jacked. Another guy who's like 6'4", 275 pounds with a fucking 6-pack, works out every fucking day, and he posts it every fucking day, and it's motivating because there's others like us out there, and to see that, it's like keeps you on your toes. Because you know if you don't, and there's days where he posts and I'm like, fuck, man, he's doing a garage workout, 30 degrees outside. He ain't got no
Where's he
heaters
at?
on. He's in Houston.
Oh.
But I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, all right, I guess I gotta go work out today.
No excuses.
Yep. But yeah, man, it's just you know, you have to draw that line in the sand at some point in your life. And, you know, I always say that. I say it's never too late until it is, because those are the facts. There's a lot of times where we put things off that we want to do and we just wait and wait and wait. And we say, oh, tomorrow. And that's why I love that quote off of Rocky, you know, when they're on the beach and he says, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow, man, because there isn't. That's how you have to approach life. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Any day, any one of us could stop taking our last breath. And I'll be damned if I was sitting on the couch the day before doing nothing. When I die, people are going to look back and they're going to say, damn, Roger was coaching me yesterday and he fucking told me something that just made it click. Man, I called Roger yesterday and, you know, he gave me some advice that just really helped me get through this. You know, Ashley's going to say, you know, Roger was there with me yesterday. He made me feel loved. Like, I'm going to be working till the day I die to just be better every single day in as many ways as I can, all at once. You know, I think a lot of times we put, I can only do this. No, when you got a family, you can't. You got to do you for you. Because if you don't do you for you and take care of yourself, they're going to suffer. And then on top of that, you got to make time for yourself. Then you got to make time for them. You got to make sure they're okay, that they're tended to, not only financially, but emotionally. You got to make sure that they're good. Every day I pick my daughter up from school, that radio's off and we're just talking all the way home because I don't have a lot of time with her. And so when I do have those talks, that's all we do is talk. I'm not listening to the radio. Every once in a while we'll jam out some T Swift, you know. She likes her. So
Who doesn't?
I'll ride with it.
Who's not a Swiftie?
But, you know, the moments that I have with Ashley, you know, dinner, putting the phone down at the table, you know, going to sleep and just telling each other about our day or putting our daughter to bed together. Like, those are things that I realize, like, not everybody gets to do. And I tell her all the time, I said, you know how many guys, like, I know it sucks because I'm gone at the end of the night for 2 to 3 hours a night, but you don't know how many people, just to make the money that I make doing the part-time jobs, they have to work 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it sucks, but it could suck a lot worse. And so that time that I do have with her, and she told me something the other day, you know, and this is where the constant reevaluation has to happen. You know, I came home, I had these lights up, I had the camera up, and she came home from work, and I had been studying all day, dedicating myself to this captain shit while she's at work. I pick up baby, and then she comes home, I hand baby off to her, and I'm in the room fucking around, fucking with lights, with shit that don't even fucking matter. You know?
Yeah.
And she tells
Like
me,
put it in
she's like, the
perspective.
other day, you know, I come home and I want to see you, and you're just like messing with your room, and I don't want to bother you, because she doesn't, she's my peace, man. She don't want to be a nagging fucking wench. Although sometimes she can get a little OCD on me,
God.
and I gotta like slow her down. Like, shit, woman, slow down. But in the end, like, she wants me to succeed, so she's willing to sacrifice her time so that I can be at peace. She's willing to sacrifice her desire to be with her husband in that moment so that I can be at peace. So you know what? I said, what the fuck does that make me? How selfish. Like, nah, that's not going to happen no more. So she comes home from work. We're either doing it
So
together.
you reevaluated some stuff.
You have to. And I could have easily said, well, you know what? Like, I'm trying to do this for us, or I'm trying to set this up, and she would have just shut up. She wouldn't have brought it up again. But I realized, like, she values my time. You know, we can get into this topic on another episode, but,
Yeah.
you know, there's so many times where we look at our own wants and desires and don't realize how they affect the ones we love. And we're so selfish in what we want, but we're not willing to be selfless towards what they want. And so, you know, when it comes to reevaluating myself, like, I'm not the person I was. I'm not the person I was yesterday. And that's something that we all have to really take a grip on and understand and realize is that yesterday was yesterday. The Roger from 5 years ago is different from the Roger from 10 years ago, then 15 to 20. And the Roger today is going to be different from the Roger tomorrow. And as long as it's in a positive light, as long as it's in a positive way, and I'm taking steps to progress and not regress, then that's what's important. And that's what's going to yield good fruit. In the end, that's what's going to provide that harvest. That's what's going to give you the family you want, the friends you want, the goals you want to accomplish are going to be accomplished because you're doing it the right way. Don't get caught up in all the bullshit and all the power, the money, the women or the guys, whatever your preference is. As long as you put into people that are going to be there when you're dead, they're going to be the ones carrying that casket, weeping, remembering you. Everything else will fall into place.
That's it, man. That's all I got.
Man, that shit was intense, bro. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I always try to be transparent, because I know there's a lot of people out there that may have these feelings and they don't know how to vocalize them, or they feel like they're alone in them, and they need to realize, like, you're not, and it's okay. It's okay to be depressed. We all have seasons in life. It's okay to go through a season of doubt, of anger, of depression, of torment. You just got to keep hope that you're going to find your way out. And that's why I try to be an open book to people. Not, everybody thinks, oh, Roger's doing this to tell his story and make himself seem like, no, I'm doing this to share my story. I'm doing this so that people can hear what I've been through, what I still go through. Because like you said, a lot of times they just see, oh, Roger's this loud, outspoken, arrogant, cocky, badass jiu-jitsu guy who can fucking lift a shit ton of weight and post it on Facebook every day. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am. but
it kind of goes. We read something the other day, saw something the other day. It was like that driven people, anyone that's driven, it's like you look at the outside and you're like, oh man, that's like success or whatever it is. and it could be like professionally, physically, whatever. But that person may be like tortured inside. Like they didn't get that way by accident, right? What they had to go through to get that, are the demons that they're fighting. And
Absolutely.
so we see the picture of success. It's a hard road to get there. And everyone's going to go through that, if you want to get there.
You don't know the bodies that you have to kill to get to that point.
And so,
I mean, for real.
Yeah.
You talk about these war heroes and these guys like Tim Kennedy and Jocko, and you don't know the demons that they face to overcome and become the successful people that they are, because they've actually done some dirty shit. I don't mean dirty, but they've actually done some
experience stuff that we haven't had to deal with in our lives.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's just, don't get caught up on what someone else is or has. Like, just focus, reevaluate, reinvent based off of what your goals are, and don't wait for that. Recognize, like, man, I don't need to lose a family member to know that I need to spend time with them.
Yep.
I don't need to have a bad medical diagnosis to know that I need to eat better. Like, we could do that today.
Absolutely.
And so that's the biggest lesson that I catch from that.
Definitely, man. Those are some good questions, man. That was a good that was a good therapy session. I tell people all the time,
free of charge.
Right. I tell people all the time, I say, half the time I'm not doing this for you motherfuckers, I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
Like, so don't.
Oh yeah, there's some of that for sure.
I need to let off some of this steam.
But the reality is someone might hear something, or something's going to resonate with somebody and say, oh man, I know exactly what he's saying. I mean, just me sitting here, a lot of stuff you're saying is like,
I know it does, man, because when you're open and you're honest and you're real, people get benefit from that. If I was sitting here spewing a bunch of fake shit and not being, people are like, oh man, you're too vulgar, or you're too intense, or you know what? When I get the messages and the DMs from people and the side conversations and the phone calls and saying, keep doing what you're doing, coach, or thanks, coach, for this, or, hey, Raj, I really appreciate you talking to me. Like, I saw your post, blah, blah. Those are the people that I care about. Those are the ones, because those are the ones that needed to hear it.
Yeah.
If you don't need to hear it, scroll the fuck on. I say it all the time, go do something else. But
go read about Taylor Swift and
go fucking watch your
Travis.
Kardashians eat your fucking Doritos and your Domino's pizza with your 32-ounce big gulp, you fat fuck.
Oh, my God.
I had to end with something nice right there, right? No, but thank you guys, man. We got a little deep on that one. Like I said, I had no idea where Tony was going with it. Fucking awesome job. I'm glad you don't know how to set any of this shit up, because then you probably run on your own podcast and leave me, just like everybody else does in jiu-jitsu when they get their black belts.
Co-pilot.
But
hey man, we've got a lot of team members, teammates competing this weekend. Good luck to all of them. I'm gonna be there watching them.
Yeah, no doubt. American Grappling Federation here in Corpus, they're a big tournament. They're coming down, and we got some adults and kids ready to throw themselves in the fire, and maybe we'll interview a couple of them after the tournament, and see how your average Joe does when they're trying to be extraordinary. That's so thank you guys for tuning in. I know this one was a little different, but much appreciated if you listen the whole way. If not, no worries. But hope you guys got something from it, and if anybody ever needs anything or has a question, I seriously am an open book, man. I've got messages left and right. Look me up on social media, Roger Narvaez, BJJ, Charge the Line, podcast. Message me, and I guarantee I'll get back to you. I promise. So I'm not that big yet to where I'm getting so many messages I got to ignore people. But thank you guys. Much love. And as always, don't forget, charge that line.